on things ridiculous like pianos and flat screen TVs and laptops and condom dispensers. I can only quote from that movie, Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem.
We do. We have
Indeed.
a problem.
And that's why I have Dr. PLO Lumumba and Barrack with the 2 R's, Muluka, on the show today. By the way, before the break, Barrack mentioned a word which I had to Google right away, was turpitude. Turpitude, turpitude. And it means, in case you didn't know, is a word that represents depraved behavior. Prisons are filled with criminals who are engaged in acts of moral turpitude. Turpitude comes from the Latin word turpitudo, which means repulsiveness. That's exactly what's happening with this headline here in today's Standard newspaper, repulsiveness. This is what this country has come to, folks. And the tweets are coming in thick and creamy right now. So thick, I tell you, I got to read a few. Let me just read one. Someone said, okay, there's a 411 that came out this evening that says, Waiguru says procurement not among roles for CSs. Okay? Now the question is, if she says she's not accountable to a ministry, then what is her work? Because imagine if Mr. Wolf, the Mercedes team Formula One manager, saying he's not accountable on how his drivers drive. Can you imagine?
You see, you cannot have double standards in these things. You cannot have a multiplicity of standards. There are cabinet secretaries who have been sent packing. Those cabinet secretaries might very well have argued that procurement was not part of their brief. She is in the same government in which these cabinet secretaries were serving, and they are out there. So why is she still remaining there? Some people have said things, and some being driven to ridiculous dimensions to the extent that she's untouchable. And we start believing that she's untouchable. First, you have got a raft of up to, we could even say, 7 different government ministries that have been collapsed under one. There is planning, there's devolution, there's youth, there's I don't know what, abracadabra. Yeah. They are all there within this one docket. And every waking day we wake up to one fresh scandal after the other. I think the done thing in the interest of honor, in the interest of self-esteem, and as PLO has said, for the love of country, for the love of government, for the love of president, for the love of self, do the honorable thing. Step aside.
Yeah. What would happen in Greek mythology right now, Barrack? What would have happened if this was a Greek situation?
Let's take the neighboring situation, which is the Roman situation. You fall on your sword. You fall on your sword because you have come into dishonor. And,
you commit harakiri
in Japan. Okay? Yes. So you don't stay there and continue clouding the whole thing. If it is true that the thieves, because this is about thieves, that the thieves are, other than what we are being made to believe, and which could very well be the case, you continue to cloud the issue by remaining there, by being there and getting the entire searchlight to focus on you. You cloud the whole thing, so step aside.
Absolutely. PLO, you know what the most tragic thing is? And we talk about Greek tragedy, we talk about Shakespearean tragedy. The most tragic thing about all this is that these people who are stealing wantonly are people who were very close to the president, the people the president had trust in. You hear about the youth fund. You hear hundreds of millions, 300 million plus that we know of right now. Close friends he gave appointments to because he trusted. Shame, tragic.
You know, Jeff, I remember the day the president and his deputy appointed these individuals into the cabinet, the fanfare, the razzmatazz that accompanied all these. These were individuals that they identified, they claim, after thorough scrutiny.
Interviews.
And interviews. And I must say that these individuals have not performed in the manner that we desire. And we are speaking about one individual here. And we want to remind these individuals, nobody is saying that you are guilty. Nobody is saying that you have stolen. What we are saying is that during your watch, everything you touch is turning into clay. You should be worried. How can it be that it's only you? And one of the most amazing things about Ms. Waiguru is that everybody under our docket has been subdued. In the National Youth Service, we don't hear about the director of the National Youth Service.
Givenchy's a nobody
it is
now.
her. When the glory is there to be taken, she takes it. When the flag is there to be taken, she says, I'm only a whistleblower.
She should also take it.
She cannot possibly have her cake and eat it.
Yeah.
And I would want, one of the things that I would want, if they are spiritual guides for these individuals, if they go to churches, their pastors should tell them, please, do what is right and good.
Yeah, the honorable thing.
The honorable thing.
PLO, let me stick on you for this one, because Gagani has just sent a tweet saying, is President Mugabe right on his remarks about Kenya? He called us the most corrupt. He says,
I do not know whether President Mugabe is the one who has said that or is a parody, but what I've read and is being attributed to President Mugabe, international watchdogs have said that Kenya is one of the most corrupt nations on earth. They have said that this is the place where impunity runs roughshod over us. There is a sense in which we as a country elect thieves. There is a sense in which we as a country celebrate thieves. There is a sense in which we as a country have sinned and fallen short of the glory of both God and man. There is a sense in which that is true. 3/4, in fact 99.9% of our public officials cannot account for their wealth. How have they made it? They cannot account. If today we ask them to bring us their income tax returns, if today we ask them to bring us their legitimate income and the things they own, all of them would be in jail. Whatever is being said and attributed to President Mugabe is something that is true, and I don't want to go to Mugabe. Adan Duale, who is the leader of government business, has requested the President of the Republic of Kenya to declare corruption a national disaster.
That's right. He says
Raila Amolo Odinga, who is the former prime minister and the leader of the opposition, has said a similar thing. I agree with them 100%.
absolutely. And Duale is the one who came on camera and he says there's corruption across the board. Across the board.
But he speaks from two ends of his mouth. One morning he's telling us there's corruption in government. He's telling us there's corruption in the judiciary, there's corruption in the executive, there's corruption in the legislature, and that it should be declared a national disaster. The next morning, when he's confronted with figures, he's saying, oh, these are imaginary figures, oh, everything is all right in the country, oh, these are people who are out there to besmirch the government. And then, of course, the other person we are forgetting to talk about is, of course, the deputy president, who says that we are engaged in reckless talk when we say that things are bad, that the economy is well, all is well, God is happy in heaven and smiling, looking at Kenya, and he's happy with the way things are. Never mind that when you look at the Kenya shilling, it has deteriorated very steadily from 84 shillings to the dollar to 105 shillings. 112 today, since this government came into power. That you look at the interest rates, they have just gone through the roof. You look at the cost of living across the board. You look at remittance of salaries, payment of salaries, public servants, taking a month, 2 months, they haven't remitted funds to the counties. Now you come and tell
Embassies are not paying rent for their staff outside of this country. The National Stock Exchange lost 130 billion.
What happened to the Eurobond, PLO?
The Eurobond,
$2 billion worth.
One of the things I cannot understand, when you borrow money from a bank, how do you then keep it in another bank? You borrow money because you want to use it. What we are saying under Article 35 of the Constitution is that we want to know, and we are entitled to know, because our children and children's children will be paying this money. So it is not a favor that we are asking of the individuals who, for the time being, we have entrusted with power. We are telling them, be consistent. We cannot have the minister for the time being in charge of finance or treasury telling us one thing and another thing is happening. We are getting this information and we are saying, tell us because this country is borrowing beyond its means. And what we are seeing now in terms of trying to raise taxes, that's voodoo economics. Voodoo economics is not, whenever you see a country inviting the IMF, it tells you the country is in trouble. And IMF has only one solution. If you have a boil on your leg, amputate it. We do not want to go into that situation. This is the time. You know, there was a time when I thought that the opposition was acting improperly when they said that there was a need for national dialogue. Yeah. I believe now that we need, as a country, to come together. The opposition, those in government, the clergy, everybody, we should come together. There is a rat in our house. We should not burn the whole house.
Yeah, and Barrack, you know, this woman, Waiguru, you know, at the end of the day, she says, as the house is burning around her, she says, look, it's not just my ministry. There's corruption everywhere. All ministries are in trouble.
Well,
we'll start with her.
We start with hers.
Yeah.
We agree, and I agree entirely that when we talk about her ministry, we are just talking about the tip of the iceberg. I believe that we don't need this national budget that is running into trillions of shillings. Why do we need these trillions of shillings? Because today we have got state-sponsored plunder of the national treasury. That is why you are finding that you have got budgets that have now completely blown way out of proportion. By the time President Moi was retiring, I think the national budget was at just about 600 million Kenya shillings. Think of that. Today, 600 billion. Today we are talking of 2 trillion.
2 trillion.
2 point something trillion. Yeah. And then we are looking at 790 something stolen. You go to the National Assembly, you find 500 and something stolen. You go to Ministry of Lands, I don't know how much stolen. We have talked about the Eurobond. We have been told that some of these monies have gone into sponsoring infrastructure. Which roads? Let's be told which road the billions of Kenya shillings have gone to, and exactly how much. In this day and age of government that's calling itself a digital government, we should be having digital villages. We should be having this information on the internet, that as soon as funds come in, we know how much has come in, we know where it is resting. Once it's disbursed, we know where it's been disbursed and what it's doing. We just need to get to the internet, and we are seeing where the monies are going. And this is what we were promised by this government, which is now being very opaque.
Has the goodwill worn off?
The goodwill is wearing off, and it's wearing off very fast. And if President Kenyatta is doubting for a moment that the goodwill is wearing off, he should ask himself about the voices that are now criticizing him. In the past, it's been the traditional voices, it's been the discordant chord voices.
Absolutely.
But now he's hearing these things coming
even we
from
moderate
his own backyard. And even those of us who have considered ourselves very moderate have come on this show, I've sat on other shows, and people have made accusatory assertions against me. They have said, oh, you've been bought by Jubilee. Of course, nobody can buy me. It's just that I walk the moderate path.
Yes.
And even we, the moderates, can now look the president in the eye and tell him, Mr. President, the writing is on the wall. Read it.
PLO, before we went on the last break, I asked the question, maybe he doesn't want a second term. Maybe he's sick and tired of being confined in that house and would rather hang out with his friends on a weekend and be himself. Maybe he doesn't want it.
But Jeff, even if President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is not interested in the second term, is he not interested in a legacy? Does he not think of how history will remember him? Does he not want his children to say, Daddy had an opportunity to serve his country and he served it well? Even if that is the intention, he should do the Mandela thing, that we may write about him that during his short stint, he served and he served well. In fact, if President Kenyatta is not interested in a second term, then he should use this term to be decisive. He should use this term to ensure that he raises the levels of agriculture, health, and all sectors of the economy, so that when we write, there came a young man. The young man came, he saw, and he conquered, and we'll write of him that he governed well. But if he doesn't think like that, then I would be very sad, because this is a young man, this is an educated man, this is a man who has had the best education, this is a man who has it all, this is a man who does not need money, this is a man who only needs to prove himself, this is a man who speaks well, this is a man whom we gave votes, this is a man whom we trusted. How can he afford to let us down?
Yeah,
how can he?
Wavinya Ndeti, Honorable, sent a tweet. Listen to this. She says, one day when the poor will have nothing left to eat but the rich.
They will eat the government. I've said this many times, and I have written about it. And I've told this government, and it has happened before in other parts of the world, that when the citizens have nothing left to eat, they will eat the government. The same way that the people of Romania ate the government,
right.
The people of Yugoslavia ate the government, the people of Poland ate the government, the people of Kenya are going to eat the government. You can keep on saying that we are going to expand the tax brackets. Now look, you can only tax that which is there. But the people do not have what you are going to tax. It doesn't matter if you say you are going to tax them 100% of their income. There's no income to tax. And so the day comes when the people have got to eat the only thing that is left, and that thing that's left to be eaten is the government.
And it has happened before.
It has happened before elsewhere.
And it can, you see, Jeff, perhaps I'm speaking out of turn.
No, you're not. Speak, PLO, speak. In fact, before you speak, Ahmed from Isili says, please extend this program tonight. What a great show. PLO is saying it as it is. Ahmed, are you going to pay for it? Korea.
You know, Jeff, when I look at this country, and when I listen to all the leaders, when I read Deputy President William Ruto speaking as if he lives in a country other than Kenya, when I listen to President Uhuru Kenyatta in church speaking as if he does not live in this country, then I ask myself, do they know the Kenya that we are talking about? Do they know the pain that the people are going through?
Yeah.
And if they did, and I pray they do, they would know that this country is slowly creeping. And we are talking about the Giriama. A senator from Pokomo is telling the Giriama will cut down your necks. The Meru leaders are telling the Borana will cut down your necks. That is how our country begins to unravel.
And implode.
And implode. And I think that these are the signs of danger.
Yeah.
These are the signs. When you listen to people like my good friend William Kavogo saying that nothing can happen to us because we have money, the uncircumcised must be tamed. When you hear Kuria saying what he does, when you hear Mudama says what he does, when you hear all these individuals who are men who are exposed speaking this language of war, then you know that your country is in danger.
Absolutely. Then you know that the inmates have taken over the asylum. Gentlemen, I want to talk about that when I come back. The hate speech, the hate level has reached a new high. It's a crescendo almost, on social media especially. There's so much hate. It's incredible. I don't know how we're going to tone it down. This one is just, I think it's out of control. But let's take a break. At Barrack M, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag we're using tonight, report card. Keep tweeting. There's so much to discuss, so little time, but we're going to go through it because we have to. I keep saying, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? Jeff Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you a Kufua expert?